Going into a private session, definitely we'll continue giving that live coverage as and when the cut session continues tomorrow. Now, let's get back home and talk about the high cost of living. And as the country recovers from the adverse impact of COVID-19, 2022 has started on a high note. High commodity prices and political activity being an election year. How will this impact on your cost of living? KTN's Nwakip Kimboi reports.
Kenyans have begun 2022 decrying the high cost of living, especially the cost of food.
Bei zimepanda ama maisha imepanda sana. Kwa maana ukilinganisha na mwaka uliopita ama miaka mbili iliyopita, saa hivi vitu zenye tulikuwa tunanunua kama 120 miaka mbili iliyopita, saa hii iko kutoka 280 hivi.
Kwa siku unapewa shilingi 200. Na hiyo 200 haitoshi kitu, hata kama uga ni 150. Hiyo ni uga moja tu. Hakuna boga, hakuna shukari. Shukari ni 150. Kwa hivyo hiyo hali ni baya.
This impact is trickling down to small business owners in the food subsector.
Awali tulikuwa ukifanya occasion, ukipewa occasion ulikuwa una make na unapata, yani unapata faida. Sasa hizi inabidi ujifinye.
We find that when we go to the market, maybe when we are restocking our stocks in the restaurant, when we use a lot of money, so that when the customers comes, we need to charge them. They find that the prices of the food has risen.
The rise in the cost of food prices goes back to the high cost of production and weather uncertainty.
Agricultural sector is the key source of our food, yeah? So anything that happens there can have implications on whether the country will go hungry or the country will have adequate food, yeah?
With the prevailing drought conditions that started last year, the sector growth will slow down. For example, estimations indicate that the agricultural sector contracted by 0.9% in the second quarter of 2021. This is mainly attributed to the shortage of the rainfall.
The January 2022 inflation stood at 5.39%, with foods like cabbages and maize flour increasing 27.62% and 8.3% respectively.
You can see that the drivers are obviously food and fuel.
But again, this is 2022.
It is, first of all, we don't know how Omicron will metamorphosize itself. But secondly, it's also a year electioneering year.
We've seen elections before. We saw them 5 years ago. Actually, we saw a double election 5 years ago. And we saw another one 5 years before that, and etc.
Looking at the inflation rates of election years, in January 2007, inflation rate stood at 4.63%, which dropped to 3.67% in 2013. In 2017, the year-on-year inflation rose to 6.99%, with the 2022 inflation rate standing at 5.39%.
As we get towards the general elections that come later in the year, in most cases, political uncertainty creates a wait-and-see attitude among the investors. The government is committed to having a peaceful political environment to ensure that the investor disruption is minimized.
For now, Kenyans have to continue digging deeper into their pockets for sustenance. Nwakip Kimboi, KTN News.
All right, so that's where my colleague Nwakip Kimboi leads us to a discussion tonight.